Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to TML. We are here tonight for pre-season. It's Social Race #1 as we take in the British Grand Prix from the Silverstone International Circuit. Nearly forgot what track we're going to be doing there. My name is James Head. I'm going to be taking you to the stream, as always, on a Thursday night this is, and joining me in the commentary box, a very good friend of mine, of course, it is EKG Storm. Storm, how you doing?
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to, I don't know if it's TML or TTML, because you just said TML, so I thought I'd just check. But yeah, no, back for the first race in TTML, for the first social race. And yeah, we've got a bit of a mixed grid this evening. We've got some former champions from last season and seasons before, I believe. We've obviously got the legend himself, the owner. Well, I believe he's an owner. TTG Maze, obviously we know him as Kermit. We've got F5 champion and F4 champion, I believe it's Jamie. We've got EKG Tam, F3 champion. I don't think F2 and F1 champion are here this evening, but we are in the company of TTG Fleddy, who obviously you commentated over last season. I think the season before as well. So I'm sure he'll be providing a lot of action here in Silverstone this evening.
Yeah, definitely so. In terms of obviously the action, I think we're going to be getting going very soon indeed. You guys can see on my screen anyways, the lobby, everyone is going to be setting, hopefully readying up very soon. I believe we're waiting on 2 drivers, so there might be a slight delay in terms of that, but good evening to everyone that is tuning into the chat so far. Feels a bit different because I normally go through track map and the videos and adverts, and I'm not used to it because I'm straight in there in terms of the stream here tonight. Driver lineup though, as Storm was mentioned, we've got the likes of Fleddy, we've got the likes of Carafalidis as well, who I commentated on in PSGL on Monday. For the full lineup, in the Mercedes, we've got Neymar and Jamie. In the Red Bull, we've got Ecos Blacks and Maze. In the Ferraris, we've got Bradley and Yoram, Simply Superman and Noah in the McLaren. Tam, who won the F3 Championship last season, and GMAC are in the Alpine. Then in the Alfa Romeo, it is Fleddy and Powdy. In the AlphaTauris, it is Tails, who is a brand new driver to the league, and Conti, who are in the AlphaTauris. Cast represented by Carafalidis and Steve. Daniel and Honey Badger in the Aston Martin, and then Dara and Olatex in the Williams. We are getting going though into qualifying, and of course it is short qualifying, 18 minutes and then, but let's have a look at the track map in question. 5.8 kilometres and then 3.6 mile, 18 turns away to our drivers out on track. The likes of Abbey, the likes of Farm, the likes of the Hanger Straight, Wellington, Vale, Club, every single corner you could possibly name at Silverstone. We are going to be covering that here tonight. And Storm, coming into tonight, obviously, Silverstone, a track we've commentated on before. How is it on this game?
Well, I think, yeah, it's some people, I think, treat it like Marmite, really, because you can spin off a lot. There's obviously, I think it's Cops Corner, obviously you can invalidate with the track limits. I don't know if they've updated it this game at all, but yeah, obviously we've recently done a fantastic comms for it over in another league, but yeah, it's in the wet, it's an absolute nightmare. I have to say, from a driver's perspective, and but yeah, no, in the dry, you know, as we saw in the real life Grand Prix, it was absolutely fantastic, and there's nothing better than winning your home Grand Prix.
Yeah, definitely not indeed, and obviously we have got the first cars coming out on track as well. I spy with Marnus Lyon McLaren, I think, coming out the pit lane first, and Simply Superman, the first man out on track. Of course, he was in the championship fight in F2 last season. Yona, of course, went and won that. So the delight of a certain commentator here that might be speaking to you right now by predicting them the season before. Simply Superman, though, possibly a favourite for the F2 championship, of course. We do have 5 tiers this season. We'll run through the calendar and run through all the information as we go along through the evening. But Simply Superman, first man out on track, and Storm, obviously F2 last season. He was well up there in the Aston Martin. He was a Ferrari driver, then tuned into Aston Martin about halfway through the season. How do you rate the Irishman's chances? Because I believe he actually won here in TTML last season.
Yeah, I think he, after that switch, he kind of had that refocus, and he knew that it was only going to go one way. And yeah, he proved with obviously his teammate, who actually sorry, I've forgotten who that was now. It's been a few weeks now. And but yeah, no, he's an absolute fantastic driver, and I'm sure he'll be on the hunt for not just that Constructors Trophy that he won last season with Aston Martin. He'll be after that Drivers' Championship. If he is in F2, hopefully he is. Again, who knows? We'll have to wait until the lineups are released in a few weeks, I believe.
Yeah, we'll be doing a placement show, of course, hopefully with graphics and hopefully with a commentator that you might be listening to hosting that as well. Simply Superman on the run down the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight and then through Abbey and Farm through turns 1 and then through the left-hander of turn number 2 and then through the right-hander now of Village into turn number 3. Of course, we saw nearly 4 wide into this section, the loop section, coming through turn number 4 in real life for the 2022 Grand Prix, and then coming out of Aintree. Of course, Aintree formerly used to be one of the corners and one of the British Grand Prix back in the day before they actually came to Silverstone. 27.4 though by Simply Superman in the first sector, and the Irishman now comes through Luffield and then down through Woodcote and in towards Cops, of course. Pretty much halfway around the lap, I think, at this point for Simply Superman as he now comes through in towards the right-hander of Cops. And you can take this flat out if you're so daring, but he down to the 7th gear and down to about 20 mile an hour. Doesn't want to get caught in the exit there because he will invalidate the lap time that is for Shooters. And now comes through Maggots and then Beckett and then, of course, down through Chapel and down the hanger straight in towards Stowe, which is turn 15, of course. 105.4 or 103.4, I can't even see on my screen. 103.4 from Simply Superman in the middle sector. A little drivers on the lap, by the way. Parry, Steve, the top guys, obviously Honey Badger, Daniel also on laps as well. But Simply Superman, though, coming through in towards the final couple of corners. McLaren will be aiming for around a 127, I think, in terms of the lap time around here as he comes round the final corner on the run to the line. And that's the first prediction I've got right this season in TML, 27.3 from Simply Superman.
Well, I hope your predictions are better than your puns. After the other night, as EKG Tam, new to obviously EKG, obviously myself being well, his boss basically. He is learning no ABS this evening, so I think he'll be happy with that lap as his teammate goes into P3 with a 28.0. Noah goes into 4th with a 28.1. TTML Stevie G, a regular in F3 with a 28.1. And F5 champion, it's Jamie, goes in P7 with a 28.4.
Honey Badger would have went second actually with that lap. He invalidated coming through Vale and then into the club corner. So Honey Badger would have went second. 27.4 though on his lap, the Aston Martin. Better known back in the day, of course, for punting me into a wall around Baku, and nobody wants to try and even bring that up in the comment section, please, because I try to go around the outside of him into the castle section. It really did not work. But Honey Badger there would have went second. He has got pace so far, which is good. Fleddy, 27.6 as well, has gone second. So good lap there from the Alfa Romeo man. Carafalidis, a real mainstay, I think, in PSGL. He drove very well around here a couple of weeks ago in his lobby, the other lobby race that we didn't cover PSGL. The Carafalidis around here should be towards the top end of the field. The quick man now comes through the final couple of corners. The FPL man on the run towards the line, and he goes quickest, 27 flat, and that is more likely in terms of the lap times around here. It's Carafalidis out on top, Simply Superman second, Fleddy in third. First run's pretty much done.
Yeah, they are, and yeah, quite well, it is quite a close grid. Not separated much in the top 5. Obviously, we've got usual up there of Neymar, Fleddy, Tam, Superman. Obviously, the guys that we know regularly and see in TTML. It'll be interesting to see how Honey Badger does come around again, obviously, and Yarham, obviously being in F3, I think it was last season. So yeah, and also get to see new drivers as well. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it will be interesting indeed in terms of the new drivers. Actually, Steve 8th at the minute, Black's in 10th. And this man here looking for a little bit of retribution. Former TTG man, now FPL man Dara, is coming through the left-hander of Farm at turn number 2 and then into the Village at turn 3. It's got very wide on the apex there, on the entry into the corner, but masters it in toward the loop and nearly spins the car on the curb. I think that might be his run done. He now comes down the Wellington Straight, named after the Wellington bombers that used to be held here at the airfield in the mid-1940s as part of World War II. Davos coming through in towards Brooklands and then towards Luffield, 27.9. It seems a little bit all over the place, to be honest, in terms of this lap. Might be his only first run, first practice that he might have on this game here tonight, but with 7 minutes gone so far, Clarify leaders out on top. Simply Superman second, Fleddy in third as now Darrell comes in towards Cops. I think I call it Stowe early on, I always get those two mixed up. Coming through Cops and then in towards Maggots and Beckett's and then Chapel and then down the Hanger Straight, of course, and Darrell will be hoping to try and put in a really good middle sector. I think he'll be around Neymar, G-Max sort of area, but he won't be, he's invalidated, just coming out of Beckett's.
Yeah, not what you really want to be having if you're on a push lap. But yeah, he's, I believe, another Irish driver, so maybe it is luckily Irish this evening, as we've actually got 2 Irish drivers in as Simply Superman is in. And yeah, it's getting to the nitty gritty part. Obviously now 10 minutes left on the clock, so the drivers have, well, the top 12 have done their first run. I suspect they won't be going out until around about the 2 to 3 minute mark. But yeah, everyone 13th to 18th have got to get these lap times in pretty soon if they want to go back out again when it really matters because of track evolution.
Yeah, definitely. So you could get 3 or 4 runs actually on a lap around here. Yoram on a lap at the minute. 103.4 in the middle sector is quick, and he should be up there with Karafalidis' time so far. That 127th lap that he's got the Greek man coming through though. The Brit Yoram coming into the final couple of corners. You look very quick, I've got to say, on this lap. There was a yellow flag just, I think, on drivers on an outlap. There was Aston Martin, I think, spun, and that might have been Daniel on an outlap who was spun. But Yoram towards the line, he goes second, 27.2. Not sure who that was, as I say, who had spun. It's either an Aston Martin or an AlphaTauri. I've got to look at my TV screen. I think it was an AlphaTauri, not an Aston Martin, and I can only assume that might have been Conti, because he's the only AlphaTauri, I believe, in the field. So Conti had a spin on his outlap. Luckily, he was on his outlap and not his real lap.
Yeah, and if there was ever an award for weaving, I think CPI Daniel would probably get it. Going down that final DRS zone, he was literally weaving it as much as possible just to get the temperature in the tyres, as he is now on his flying lap. And yeah, hopefully he can get a good lap time in. I'm not quite sure if he raced in TTML last season. If
he did,
I know. Yeah, oh, he did.
F1.
He must have been F1. Yeah, I thought so. As he's got a Ferrari car right in front of him, so hopefully he moves out of the way unless he's on a flying lap. As yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where he comes up against the others, being obviously TTML F1. As yeah, Tam, Simply Superman goes back up to P2 with a 27.1. Tam isn't that far behind, and for Tam learning no ABS tonight, could we see him maybe F2 next season?
Well, I think, obviously, with it being a new game, placements won't be really determined. If I was Tam, though, I'd be trying to gun for that F2 mark, maybe even aim a little bit higher in terms of that. He's doing a good job, though, 3rd position. Simply Superman, I caught the final sector on his lap. He looked clean, he looked crisp on that lap. Karafalidis is also on a lap, the Hassman. He is, I think, coming through the middle sector somewhere, but Daniel's on a lap. He's coming in towards the final couple of corners now, in through Vale, and then towards Club Corner at turn 18, of course. Karafalidis out on top. You see Neymar, I think, going into 5th, so good lap time from him. Daniel on the run to the line, he goes 9th, so not a bad lap at him. We'll go on board with Karafalidis. Actually, well, not, because he's invalidated as I go on board with him.
Yeah, as you were saying there, James, CPI Daniel goes into the top 10 with a 27.7. So it looks like the cut-off point for the top 10, even though tyres won't really matter as such, as under the new F1 rules for qualifying, yeah, 27 is, well, 27 whatever lap time in the 27s is going to be that cut-off point for the top 10. So Jamie and the rest are going to have to push a little bit more harder.
Yeah, self-certified GOAT, by the way, in the comment section. Mr. Tom Roberts has joined us in the comment section. Hopefully you are doing well, new Shazoo man. returning to his old haunts, of course, recently, and Tom, of course, leaving Parnell, going to Shazoo. I think that could be possibly a very good move. They've also signed the likes of Facilo and the likes of Ikita as well for that legacy event that's going to be holding in WOR, and I think, honestly, Tom, Facilo, Ikita, I'm just getting a little bit wet just over those three names, and that's really bad to actually say on a stream, and I've just realised that, and I'll say sorry now. Hopefully it's out on top, though. Simply Superman in second, Tam in third. You can tell what sort of night it's going to be after that. Karafalidis, though, leading the way, 27 flat. He's only 200s down in this first sector, but one above them coming through Cops now, and that's beautiful, coming through Cops. He's down it through 8th gear, though. I'm not sure if the quick man's actually backed off on his lap. He's coming through the middle sector, through Maggots and Beckett's, and then in towards Chapel, and he's invalidated just on the exit of Beckett's there. So Karafalidis did back off his lap, and will be coming in probably for maybe 2 more runs, I would think.
Yeah, he could definitely get 2 runs, I think, if he comes in now, because he's going to have 5 minutes on the clock. It's, yeah, the bottom 3, Honey Badger, not having a good evening at the moment. He's invalidated, I think, once already, so, yeah, he may be going for 1 run, and, yeah, that might be his final run this evening, as, yeah, the times are getting quicker, as we see a few more drivers coming out. I believe there's an Alfa Romeo coming out. That might be Fleddy.
Yeah, I think it is Fleddy who is coming out of the pit lane. I hope you're right in that one. I'm on board with Jamie, the F4 champion, of course, last season. He's coming through the loop. And Jamie, of course, came down for the final race of the season. I covered that final race of the season as well. Brilliant, brilliant fight that Jamie obviously gave. I think 4 in with a chance to decide with 2 rounds to go. Then Jamie came alive, and he's coming alive on this lap so far. 27.8 through the first sector, 2 tenths up on his lap so far. He should be aiming now, I think, to go around Daniel, Fleddy sort of area. He's ahead of Noah J. I'll be very, very happy for him, because he will show pace. Noah, of course, I think was in the same tier as him, or maybe a tier higher than last season. So Jamie will be aiming to try and maybe get a little bit of bragging rights over the McLaren man there in 10th position. Carefully just go out on top, Simply Superman second, Tam in third, just shy of 4 minutes to go in this session. Jamie's still on this lap, coming through Chapel. 103.8, he's 5 tenths up, so do you know what? He might be going around G-Mac Fleddy sort of area. 27.5, 27.6 maybe on this lap. If now comes through Stowe, it's a turn 15 as I choke on my own words. Coming now in towards Phelan Club. Karafalidis out on top, Superman in second, Tam there in third. Jamie, I think, is going to put it in around the mix in the midfield here, towards the line. And he goes quicker than Noah J, 27.8 in the end. I think he went backed off slightly in the final sector. Could have been a little bit quicker through there. But Jamie going 10th, and I think he'll be buoyed by that. He's only 8 tenths off the top.
Yeah, he is an impressive driver. Obviously, a back-to-back champion. Won F5, obviously, in my first season fully in TTML. And obviously then he won the F4 championship as myself and James commentated on what was a fantastic Sao Paulo Grand Prix last season. But yeah, regards with Noah, he was actually F3 last season as Stevie G retires. Good qualifying from Stevie G. He's always up and around there in the top 10 in F3. Oh, as Jamie goes for a spin, as yeah, Yaham is now up to P2.
He is up to P2, and look at the gap that he's actually separated by Karafalidis. 1,000th of a second. I caught on board with his final sector there from Yaram. Very good lap from him. 27 flat, but Karafalidis is out on top by that 1,000th of a second that he has got, hanging over himself with 2.5 minutes to go in qualifying. Noah, I believe, is on a lap as well. The McLaren in towards the final couple of corners in this middle sector. He's coming through Maggots and Beckett, and invalidated through the exit of Maggots, which is terrible. It is so difficult to get, obviously, a valid lap around this track. With these new cars, you've got to really go for a damn full setup around here. You get an invalidation, and really, you're going to be done for the rest of the session. I think Noah, luckily, he's going to have another crack at it, but in there in 11th position, would be on the bubble, obviously, but Noah has got a chance of another lap. I think he can go a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I'm just on board with EKG Tam at the moment. He is up by 2,000ths of a second. It might seem the most smallest of margins, but yeah, learning no ABS on pad, it's not easy. He is a pad driver. So as he goes through what is Magazine Beckett, straight on that DRS, and he's up, but not by a lot. But you only need a little bit to move up. I think he'll make his way to the Bell chicane. He's got a little bit of traffic in front of him, but hopefully that moves out of the way. I believe that's the Mercedes out of the way, and he is going to cross the line. He's going to move himself up to the top 3, the second row of the grid.
2,000s ahead of Simply Superman as well, which is a very good lap from Tam's perspective. Simply Superman, obviously, he'll have another crack at it. He's coming past the old turn number 1 in towards Cop's Corner. Carafalides also on a lap. He's coming through Stowe, and obviously the likes of Neymar on a lap as well. GMAC also on a lap as well. We're going forward with Neymar. He is learning no assist, and to be honest, if he's learning no assist, he's done a 27.5 so far. I'd be very buoyed by his performance so far, the F2 man from last season. 27.8, and he's up on his time, coming through the first sector by 300ths of a second in towards Brooklands, then through the right-hander of Luffield. You've got to get the power down on the exit through Luffield, try and obviously master your run through Woodcote, and then, of course, in towards the fearsome Cops Corner, the old turn 1, where famously Hamilton went around the outside of, well, I thought it was Kovalainen, but it's not. Kovalainen was his head going through and they were side by side in towards this section. Magnussen Beckett, of course, that was in 2008, if you're a Formula 1 fan like me. Neymar coming through the middle sector, though, in through Chapel. And it's a 103.7 in the middle sector. It's 300 up. It's not purple in the middle sector. Carefully, just as I say, on the lap. Tam on the lap as well. So we're going to be seeing some more improvement as we go through this session as Neymar comes through into the final couple of corners now. But carefully just out of top, Joram second. Joram is done. Joram is done in terms of the session, so he's not going to improve in terms of first. But Neymar coming around the final corner. What can the Mercedes do? And he stays 7th. He does improve on his lap. Not bad lap at all. GMAC across the line doesn't improve. Fleddy is coming through the middle sector. Simply Superman, I don't believe, is on a lap. Carafalides, though, is lighting the timing screens in the middle sector, and he's a 10.5 up as he now comes through the right-hander of Stowe. But it's Hassman out on top. How much is he going to improve in terms of this lap? I would say maybe another 10th in this final sector, and he's going for 26.8. He catches the curve on the inside there. Carafalides, the Greek man, around the final corner on the run to the line, and it is a 26.8 in the end. Very good lap from him. Is anybody going to beat him? Simply Superman might, but he's only 7,000s up. He's purple out of everyone in the middle sector. Dower pops up into 3rd as well. Good lap times by the Ferraris. It's Tifosi will be happy around here. But Joram in 2nd, Dower in 3rd. Can Simply Superman join that mix as well? He will gain a 10th of a second in this final sector, so we'll see what the McLaren can do. Freddy's back in the pit lane. He is done from this session as now Simply Superman goes 2nd. Really good lap time from him. He found that 10th of a second. He goes 2nd ahead of Joram, and Darren promotes both the Ferraris down to the 2nd row of the grid. Noah on a lap. Ecos Flat on a lap as well. In fact, they're both backed off, and that is the end of qualifying, and it is Carafalides out on top. Simply Superman in 2nd. Joram in 3rd. In the end, Storm, Carafalides, maybe a class above the rest?
Yeah, it does seem... I can't get the words out either this evening. Yeah, it just seems like he is, in a league of his own, if there was one. And, yeah, it's quite rare to see a Haas up the top. We're normally seeing them now in the midfield with Mick Schumacher picking up his first haul of points for Haas, which, you know, we all love to see, even if it is in a Haas. And it's not the Ferrari that his dad famously drove, should I say, all those years ago, winning them fantastic 7 world champions. But yeah, he's definitely in a league of his own. But he's got an Irishman on the front row of the grid to share and accompany him through that formation lap.
Yeah, and he's got Joram behind him as well. Gava's behind him. So Carafalides has got to try a little bit hard. I did say he would be one of the top guys to watch out for, and he's been me right so far. That's why you listen to me as a commentator. So now get onto pole position. Carafalides out on top, nearly 2/10 of a second clear actually from Simply Superman, who of course challenged for the F2 title last season. Will he be challenging once again? We'll have to wait and see. Joram there in 3rd, Darren 4th at Tifosi, fill out the 2nd row of the grid. Then Tam, the F3 man, in 6th in 5th, I should say. Fleddy there in 6th. Steven 7th, Neymar on 8th, GMAC in 9th, and Olatex, the new man, best of the newbies, I think, actually, in P10. Daniel 11, Jamie in 12th, Noah in 13th, Equals Blacks there in 14th, Maze there down in 15th, Paddy in 16th, Conti in 17th, and Honey Badger in the end did not get a valid lap time in. He starts at the back of the field. Even I can't get my words out here tonight. Carafalides out on top, Simply Superman in second, Yoram there in third. And let us remind ourselves, you've already seen the track once again, but we're going to play it for you once again. The track map in question, 5.8 kilometers and then 18 turns, 3.6 mile, and how many laps around here? 26, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yeah, 26, 27. But yeah, it'll be an interesting race. Unfortunately, there's no rain because somebody didn't want the rain, I think. But I can't blame them, being the new cars and everything. But yeah, it's actually quite interesting. We've got quite a range of. I don't know if you've got the issue, James. My